Hi, in this week's lesson, I will teach you a handful of phrasal verbs that you might see or might hear in a customer service situation. Or maybe you have to talk to your boss or manager, or maybe you help a client. I know sometimes in a job I have to help clients. And I use some of these words in English as a native speaker that they will also use. My native English speaker clients. And so some of the things that we talk about are a word like this: go over, or think over. The definition in English is very similar for both of these phrasal verbs: go over and think over. So an example sentence would be, let's go over the document and let me think over some ways and edits we can make on this paper, right? So I might go over it and I might think over how I can, solve that problem, or I might think over how I can make it better, but I have to go over it too. So what is the definition of these? Well, go over is like to review something. I'm going to go over the resume. I'm going to go over the document that I'm looking at, or I'm thinking over, what would make this better? What would make this image better? What would make this writing better? I have to think over that, right? I think about it. Maybe you need to think over something you want to do in your life. The other one, though, for go over is like travel. So I might travel somewhere, but in a customer service situation or in the job setting, I'm usually going to say go over the document. Now, if you work in like a mechanic, you work in a car shop, or you work where you do have to move from place to place, maybe you do shipping or transportation, you have to go over some, like physically, you travel. So instead of go over that, you might say, can you take the car out back and bring it over here? Or you might go over the parts. Let's go over the different parts in the car. There's a lot of variations of go over, but in general, this means to review. So your phrasal verb would be go over, went over, think over, thought over. Okay, so these are two phrasal verbs we use with a customer service situation, and these are in my Phrase It 1 deck. You can click below to get my Phrase It 1 cards to practice these, and you can make your own sentence. So comment below. What is something you go over? What is something you think over? So those are two. I promised you a handful, so I'll teach you a couple more today. A few more, actually. We'll do about 6, okay? So I also use this one, figure out, which is similar to think over. So if I think over something, I also need to figure out something. Well, let me think it over and figure it out. Now, figure out is to actually solve it, solving the problem. So in English, when I say figure out, I mean solve it, answer it, find an answer, find a solution, right? So present tense is figure out, figure. My teeth go on my bottom lip to get that sound. No voice though, I just go, hear that? So I'll say figure out. Past tense, figured out. So after I figure out something, actually go ahead and say that with me again. Figure out, figured out. Got it? Okay. After I figure out something, I'll get back to the person. Get and like back, like my back? What? This is my back, right? What do you mean get back? When I put these two phrases together in English, get back means to receive something or to return to something or someone. So after I figure out a good phrase to use for a document, or after I figure out the solution, maybe I am a car mechanic. I figured out the problem, why my car would not start. So now I'm going to get back to my client who I'm fixing their car for them. I need to get back to them and tell them, hey, here's the problem, I fixed it. So I get back to them. Maybe I will call them back and get back to them. So in customer service too, No matter what environment you're in, whether you sell food, fast food, you work in a mechanic, you work in an office setting, you're doing customer service through chat, or you're on a phone call, what you can do with this phrase is you can actually say, would you like me, would you, not W-O-O-D, but W-O-U-L-D. You can say, would you like me to call you back? So I'll put the pronoun here and I'll say call you back. Or I might say in an email for customer service, I might say, when is a good time to get back to you? Not get my back to them, but to call them, to email them again, to message them in some way. That's get back. Like, I'll call you back, or when is a good time to get back to you? And in American English, get back to you means to return a time, an appointment, another moment in time to have a discussion or conversation. We also use that with call back. So maybe you're at a dentist's office and the dentist hired you to help with the reception. And you say, okay, we will call you back to remind you of your appointment. And that can be for an eye doctor. It can be for a medical doctor. It can be for any place, a massage place, anywhere you have appointments, maybe a gym, and you do personal training, whatever business you're working in, you call someone back for that appointment as a reminder. Okay, so that's call back, present tense, call back, past tense, called back with a D voice sound. Okay, and now another one lastly today to talk about customer service related phrasal verbs, work out. So maybe you have to go over the person's information, you need to think it over, you need to figure out what you want to tell them, and then you get back to them. In the middle of all of that, before you call them back or get back to them, you might say something like this: would tomorrow at 2 p.m. work out for you, for me to get back to you, or for me to call you back? So in a customer service English environment, you will hear these expressions in American English. Will that work out for you? You mean you're going to exercise? What? No. Work out means, does that fit in your schedule? Does that make sense? Does that fit? Does that help you in your schedule? Work out. Or is it a good solution? Right? Sometimes we'll say figure out. I figured out something and I hope it works out. Like, I made a solution. I need to try my solution that I figured out and I hope it works out. Does that make sense to you? I know English can be very confusing, but that's why I'm teaching you these expressions, because they're very common in American English. So, will it work out for you to improve your English? I hope so. I hope this video helps you figure out how to improve your English so you can call back somebody and practice your English when you call them back. Or you can get back to them in an email and you can ask things like, will this work out? I fixed the problem. Here's how we solved it. Does that work out for you, the client? Right? So that's what you can say. Not exercise in this situation. Although it does mean that. Like, you can also say work out. The second definition is to work out in the morning, work out in the evening, work out in the day, run, lift weights. That's the other definition. But for customer service, work out means a different thing. So let's review all 6 phrasal verbs again. Work out, worked out, get back, got back, figure out, figured out, call back, called back, think over, thought over, go over, went over. Okay, comment below with your new 6 words. Tell me, what did you do with these? Make your own sentence, make your own story below on how you might do this. Also, tell me, where do you work? Or maybe what job are you looking for? Where do you want to work? Because these English phrases will help you get a better job if you know how to use them correctly. To practice these phrasal verbs more, go ahead and click below and buy Phrase It online on Amazon. It does ship internationally. It might cost a little more internationally, but you can get Phrase It through Amazon.com. You can also get Phrase It 2. I have both here. Well, these are in my Phrase It 1 deck, but I also have Phrase It 2 with more phrasal verbs for you to practice. So click below, share this video with your friends, watch the next lesson to improve your English, and I'll see you in the next lesson.